Alright, we'll start the third installment here. Dawns on me, if you haven't been following my Dodge, or the fact that I haven't mentioned it a lot, I'll go into a little bit of detail of what I'm doing here and kind of the purpose of these videos. So, this is an 83 Dodge W150. Half-ton, four-wheel drive, short wheelbase. I've owned this truck since '94. This will be its fifth engine. Originally came out with a new process 435 and slant 6. I changed cross members, swapped it to a V8. Had two 6s in it, two V8s, and now this diesel 6. I used to do a lot of trailer towing, stuff like that with this, so chewed up the first 6, the original, and then I pulled a Super 6 out of a Aspen wagon in it. Was using it, the truck, as a cutting rig while we were scrapping, hauling the oxygen tank, stuff like that, and fair amount of road miles, and the 6 just didn't hold up to it. Ended up getting another truck given to me that had a good V8. Was running it, and suddenly one day I was driving down the road and the oil pressure dropped to 0. Let off the throttle, it'd pick up. Get it on it again, I'd drop to 0. So I put the fourth motor in it, which is actually sitting in the garage. It's got about 5,000 miles on it, 5 to 7, 318. But I didn't really want to put it back in this truck. Number one, it gives me about 8 miles to the gallon. I was looking for something a little bit more economy based. I've kind of gotten into garden tractors and everything, and recently sold a John Deere 318 and had to take it about 150 miles, and I used my Colorado with my 5x9 utility trailer and did not totally like the results. The Colorado's fine, but it really kind of worked. I mean, it's only a 4-banger with an automatic, so I figured this Cummins will give me a decent amount of power and whatnot to pull the trailer with. So let's clear up a couple things here. Yes, this still does have the Dana 44 in the front, 9 1/4 in the rear. I know that's a lot of motor sitting on that small axle. However, I do have, if you look, keep my hands out of the way, there is, in that mess, there's 2 Dana 60s from the parts truck. So I do have other axles I can swap into this. Alright, so on to what I'm doing here. This is, of course, a 6BT Cummins turbo diesel 12 valve. It's out of a 92, which was that thing. Club cab. It's a getrag 5-speed manual that I'm putting into here. So far, if you've looked at my previous videos, I've done oil pan gasket, rear main seal, new clutch and everything. I'm getting ready to do the killer dowel pin in this. As I've explained earlier, I realize it's not as big of a potential of it coming loose in this engine. It was more problematic in the 94 to 98.5. This is 92. But I'm going to do it in this truck anyway. I've had a couple friends that have had 90s, one in 89, one in 90, and their pin had started migrating when they tore it down. Alright, so on to where we're at today. So everything getting everything mounted in, this transmission is sitting back a little bit further with it sitting on the motor mounts. Now these are the V8 motor mounts. I want to get actual diesel mounts like those ones, just because they are a little heavier. Right now I'm kind of doing maintenance on the engine and everything, getting it ready, but it's also kind of a mock-up getting everything mounted. Now the reason I'm doing these videos is I've looked online on YouTube and everything, and a lot of the information I'm getting on my maintenance and everything is coming off YouTube. But I couldn't find any actual information about putting this Cummins into a first-gen Dodge. I can find it putting it into Fords, square-body Chevys, boats, you name it. I found it putting the Cummins into just about everything. Pieces of equipment, everything except the old first-gen Dodge that had been a gasser. I know it's been done. I'm not reinventing the wheel here. I'm just figuring if somebody else goes to do this and they may have questions, that if I can put this information out there and it helps alleviate some of those questions, that's what I want to do, if that makes any sense. So anyway, this video will probably be a little shorter because I'm not actually going to get onto that dowel pin right now. What I've got to do is, if you look, this is the cross member out of the club cab. This is the actual Cummins, and it runs a step up. It's a lot heavier cross member, but also one of the big things that I'm running into is from here to here is a different size than what the gasser ran on the 727 and my new process 435. So I've got to put this cross member in no matter what to bolt the transmission down. Now, the only thing I'm not sure of, which I'm going to have to measure a little bit later on, is whether I'd still need that step up with the standard cab versus the club cab. So I think that's what I'm going to do right now. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to throw this blow these 3 bolts off real quick on both sides and unbolt the bottom. I'll take these arms off because the arms are the same, I believe. So I'll just reuse my nice painted ones. And later on I will pull this cross member and paint it and put it back on the truck. And plus, I will see if I can get the... Ooh, I'm sorry. Suddenly burping. Get that skid plate put on. But anyway, what I'm going to do is go ahead and strip this cross member down real quick and probably go ahead and strip the bottom cross member out, or get it ready to strip out when I bring you back. So I've been rambling long enough. Let's get to work. I'll get back to you. I'll bring you back as soon as I get this one cleaned up. Alright, so I got this one stripped out, so I can get ready to put that in. And this one I got her lifted up with the jack. Took these loose. So all I got is the 3 bolts on each side underneath. But had a delivery truck show up, so we got some cool new stuff. So, new radiator, 4-core cross flow. That's kind of cool. And all my 3-inch stainless steel tubing for exhausting. For exhaust. Exhausting, yeah. Got different bends. So that will become an exhaust system. In the house I have got a 3-inch Y, because his exhaust pipe is actually right here, which isn't in bad shape. It's got, let's see, where was it? There was one crunch on it right here. It got crunched right there a little bit, but I don't think that's going to hurt anything. Other than that, that's all in good shape. Like I say, I think the new radiator's a little bit thicker than that, but that's fine. I think I'll be all right. So in the house, I got the Y for the exhaust. I'm gonna try to Y it like right in this area, run it across down outside the frame. And I got a buddy that's got some 4-inch stacks, and I want to bring them up on the outside of the bed. No offense to you guys that do it, more power to you. Cannot stand the stacks in the bed. I used my truck too much hauling stuff. That truck actually had stacks in the bed. Just, to me, like I said, I'm not judging anybody. If you want them there, more power to you. Do not suggest I put stacks in my bed. I am definitely not cutting this bed up for stacks. These are already all rotted, so if I cut a hole through these, it's not going to hurt anything. Or, being that I can cut it through that, right through the side here, I think is what I'll actually do. Which, yes, that is part of the bedside, but that won't be nearly as bad. And that still leaves me the use of my entire bed. Alright, so without further ado, I like saying that a lot if you haven't noticed, I am going to try to figure out a way to pop you up here. Prop you up here, do something with you up here, and we'll see what we can get done. So, where am I going to put you? Let me figure out a place to put you, and I'll be right back. Alright, so normally you're on the handle of my floor jack, but since it's busy, you're now on the cherry picker. So, probably not the greatest view. You're not going to get a chance to see a whole lot, because unfortunately I'm videoing this with my phone. It's about all I've got for video capability right now, and I'm doing with what I got. So, onward and upward. Let me get this, let me block your view a couple more times, and if I stay close, maybe you can actually hear me. I'm going to go over there and drop that cross member on that side, and then I'll come over here. I'm mostly going to drop the cross member on this side because this is where I left my wrenches. Why, you might ask, why aren't you using air tool? Because I lost power in my garage and they can't power up my air compressor. Until I can get it fixed, doing everything manually. That's alright. Down the road from me is both an apartment complex and a retirement community, so a lot of times I get ambulances and fire engines and sirens running by, so that's why a lot of times it's so noisy. I've had other people comment about my wind chimes. Sorry if the wind chimes bother you, but they're not going anywhere. My wife very much loves her wind chimes, and I'm definitely not about to argue with her on them. And I kind of like it. So, the wind chimes stay. that side down. And we'll get this side. Alright, now this has got to be just super interesting because you really can't see anything. Just taking these bolts loose. So, this truck has kind of went through many different stages of planning. When I originally pulled it down, I was going to rebuild it, put the 318 back in it, and then as I got to thinking about it, sorry to say, you know, a person likes more horsepower, so I had then come to the conclusion I put a 360 in it. Well, as I say, a guy likes horsepower. So then I come to the conclusion that I was going to put, I believe it's a 410 stroker in it, which is a 360 stroked and bored, which was my last, well, next to last. And the only problem I had with that is the fact that I was looking at probably about 5 miles to the gallon, and I do want to use this truck occasionally, which is where the Cummins came in. Slightly better economy. Now the one also thing with this truck is I'm not super concerned about reliability. That's a 2019 Chevy Colorado sitting here that runs daily. So this truck does not need to be super reliable. You know, I definitely want it reliable enough when I go out on the road, but if I have to wrench on it here and there, it's not a huge issue. Last bolt. Let me get this. Okay, good. There we go. Now, what I'm curious of, put these down. Sure. That really gonna make much difference. Well, we'll find out. Just getting that thing up there. So at this point I decided to stay with this transfer case right this minute, which is why I gotta go to all this trouble. That's one on this side. might be back to the drawing board here. How interesting. So, we might have to do something. I believe the cross members are different sizes. I think the cross members are actually different sizes. Isn't that weird? Different size, different bolt placement. So, I got center bolt lined up. That one doesn't line up. That one semi-lines up. Over here, none of these are lining up. So, I don't know whether that cross member's bent in the middle, which is why it's smaller. Because it ain't moving. That definitely is not going to work. So, I think I'm going to be dragging out another transfer case. So I'll be back. Okay, so after a lot of hullabaloo, the transmission is actually bolted in. Those are brand new graphite bushings. Granted, they've held 3 transmissions now on this truck and never been actually tightened down until now. Yeah, if you are doing this, you will have to go with the cross member out of the donor truck, or you're going to have to get a cross member out of a diesel truck. The biggest problem I had, I was going to go with my cross member. You see how this bends down? This goes down underneath the transfer case. If you look at mine, mind the mess. If you look how mine actually is straight, so that cross member, or that mount right here, is flush with the bottom of the transfer case. That one on the other truck is not, so I actually needed that step up for proper alignment. But not exactly what I wanted to do today, but I'm glad I got that done. That gives me proper, there it goes, should shift. Ow. Yeah, I'll probably get locked in gear. Anyway, that gives me my proper alignment to my rear end by using this one. I don't have to, I was going to use the other one and drill it out. And like I say, after I got looking at it, this mount here is shorter here than what the original was. So I actually had to have this extra height. So, to be totally honest, I don't think I would ever attempt this without a donor truck. It just, all the little bits and pieces you need, I think you'd be spending a fortune to go and get everything. That's just me. I'm glad I got the donor truck. So, I think that's all I'm going to do on this video. I'll probably be back this coming weekend now. This is Tuesday. I had a couple days off work. I'll come back this weekend. We're going to take this, well, we're going to get rid of this. And we're going to get the timing cover off and deal with that pin. then we're gonna start bolting this thing back together. We can get the starter on him. I got the starter off, and yeah, we'll get her down and get her dialed back in. All right, until this weekend. Bye. All right, we're almost done. It dawned on me I did not mention getting that cross member in there. So basically, I don't know if there was minor difference. I mean, there's 9 years between the trucks. This is an 83, that's a 92. Over that time, I'm sure that Dodge probably changed their tooling and stuff. So the frames are not identical, but they're real close. There was that the cross member out of the donor truck was probably bolt holes. Hole to hole was maybe half an inch off. So basically, what I did, which you really shouldn't do this, but I did it anyway. I just used a large Phillips screwdriver. The only ones I had problem with, of course, are those down there, in there. Basically, just used a Phillips screwdriver, come up through, pried it over, got a bolt in the center. This one right here was the worst. It was off the farthest. I just basically took a ratchet strap, grafted it there, around to that side, tightened that turkey up as far as I could, which actually brought the bottom of this frame rail in enough that I was able to get that bolt in. So, I know I gotta come out and clean up here in a few minutes. But, I just thought I'd throw that out there, so that's what I ended up doing. I probably should have gotten a lineup punch, but I had a Phillips screwdriver close, and that's what I used. Alright, now we'll see you maybe this weekend.